IP or Internet Protocol. In this video again I'm going to talk about the IP. In previous videos we learned about the IP address structures such as the network ID, host ID, and also IP address classes. Here I'm going to talk about another feature of the IP address. Let me first reviewing the IP address classes rules. After that we can start talking about the IP address types. Look at here, you know that in each IP address we have two parts, network ID and host ID. Okay, the network ID should be same between the for example addresses in one network and should be different with the IP addresses in two networks in different networks. You learned about them. And the host ID should be unique in each network and you know that the network ID is using for the routing, okay, for finding the destination, and the host ID is using for the uniqueness of the IP address. You will learn better and more about these two functions, routing and also uniqueness. Okay, and also we define some rules. We call them IP address classes rules. Why we need the IP address classes rules? You know that because we need to find the network ID part and also the host ID part of the one IP address. Okay, how we can find how many bits of the IP address is network ID and how many bits of the network address are the host ID. Okay, we need to find it. It's so important for us. Here we have these rules, IP address classes. As you know, we have 5 classes of IP address, A, B, C, D, and E. If we find in the first octet of one IP address in dotted decimal notation a number between 0 to 127, that IP address is the class A IP address. And if we find in the first octet one number between the 128 to 191, that IP address is class B IP address. And also if we find in the first octet the number between the 192 to 223, that is the class C IP address. And if the IP address if the address or number in the first octet is between 224 and 239, that is the class D IP address. And finally between the 240 and 255 is a class E IP address. You know that in one octet we can see one number between 0 to 255. Because of that, until now we learned how we can find that which one IP address is residing in which for example classes of the IP address. If after you find the class of IP address, you can find which or how many bits of the IP address is network ID and how many bits are host ID. If the address is class A, the only one octet, first octet, is the network bit, and the other octets, octet 2, octet 3, and octet 4 are the host IDs or host identifier. Okay, look at here. This is only 8 bits. This means that in class A addresses we have 8 bits of network and also 24 bits of the host, for example. Okay, you know that one IP address has 32-bit length. After that, about the class B addresses, we have 2 octet as the network for example bits, and this means that we have 16 bits of networks, and also 16 bits of the host. Okay, about the class C, we have for example octet 1, octet 2, octet 3 as the networks octets, and also the last octet, octet 4, is the host octet. Because of that, here we have 24 bits of networks and also 8 bits of the host. Okay, and then as you remember, we talked about the class D and class E briefly. I said that I will talk about these two classes in the next video, and now I'm going to talk about these two classes, class D and class E. As you can see In class D and class E, we don't have the definition of the network and host address. This means that if you have one address in class D, for example, 225.1.1.1, here we don't have the network ID and host ID. I will talk about the reason, but until now we know that only for class A, B, and C we can use the network and host bits. Okay, now we can start to talk about the IP address types. After that, I can talk about the class D and class E. What is the usage of class D? What is the usage of class E? Why we in class D we don't have network part and host network bits and also host bits, and also in class E. Let me to start talking about first IP address types. One of the important concepts in the networks is about the IP addressing is the IP address type or communication types. Okay, in IPv4 networks, you know that until now we talked about only IPv4. In future, in this course, you will learn about also the IPv6, but now I'm going to talk about only IPv4. Okay, in IPv4 we have three types of addresses or three types of communication. The first is unicast. What is the unicast? Unicast communication or unicast IP address, okay, means we are sending traffic from one system to another one system. Look at here. When a PC or a server or any other host can send traffic to only one system, this is the unicast communication. Okay, for unicast communication, we are using the class A, B, or C, as you can see here. Look at here. For unicast communication, we are using class A, B, or C. Look at here, for example, now we have two systems, one PC and one server. Okay, the server's IP address, as you can see, is 192.168.1.1, and the host IP address or the PC IP address is 192.168.1.2. As you can see, 192, okay, is the one of the is residing in the range of class C. Because of that, here we are using class C. It's okay. For unicast communication, for sending traffic from one system to another one system, we are using class A, B, or C. This is the first type of communication, and in most cases we are using unicast communication. Okay, also we have another type of communication. We call it multicast. Multicast means one to many. Okay, let me to say that about the multicast. Okay, we have another type of communication. First is one to many. Look at here, this is the one to many. One system sending traffic to, for example, three systems. Okay, in this scenario, this is multicast, this is broadcast, this is multicast. As you can see, one system sending traffic to, for example, two systems, or three systems, or four systems. This is the multicast. But we have another type of multicast, many to one, or for example, many to few. Okay, let me to talk about the multicast in future in other courses, because CCNA doesn't cover the multicast communication. As you can see here, multicast communication should be learned in CCIE or in some cases in CCNP courses. Okay, we don't learn about multicast in the CCNA course. Okay, multicast is one of the advanced topics in the for example, network, and because of that, first we need to learn about the unicast. After that, we can talk about the multicast. In future, you will learn about the multicast in more advanced courses. Okay, look at here. This is the multicast. When you are using the for one system to sending traffic to many system, multiple system. In these cases, in these types of communication, we are using the class D IP address. Look at here. Class A, B, and C are using for the unicast communication, and class D IP address are using for the multicast communication when we are sending traffic from one system to many systems. Look at here, let me to show you. Here, as you can see, we have 3 systems and I'm going to send traffic to these 2 systems. Okay, I can assign this class D IP address. You know that 225 is residing in the range of class D. Okay, 225, and we can assign this IP address to these 2 systems. Because of that, as you can see, the server can